Oh, you live at home, you're a loser. You're not cool. You
don't want to pay property taxes?
Oh,
come on!
it's all happening in the city,
You
man.
never paid sewer before? Let's go every corner.
Most white college educated, they're not even enjoying their younger years. They're just floating along, man.
A lot of people never find a job that fulfills them, and it's kind of a pipe dream fantasy. The Italian, like, wannabe mob guys. Now the topic du jour of conversation is state jobs, so there must be something to that.
I feel like I'm being sold the idea that you can be like them if you follow their advice.
Up until a few years ago, I used to wake up at like 2 p.m. There's no field in life that's anything like that. If you're unlikable, you're fucked.
I don't know what I want to do in general. I don't want to work, consume, or pick up hobbies. My career is great with massive opportunity, and I only do it for money. What causes this state of being?
What's the thing they say? If you're bored, you're boring? Depends on how old you are. If you're 30 years old and you're writing that, you're in trouble. But for a lot of people, the job is not. It's not gonna. You might never find a job that provides you with fulfillment. A lot of people never find a job that fulfills them, and it's kind of a pipe dream fantasy some of the time. So, if you're at least making money, do the best that you can and carry on, and find your enjoyment and your fulfillment elsewhere. Sometimes that's what you have to do.
How important is it to have purpose or passion in your work? I'm 32. I have a skill as a partner attorney. I have money, but absolutely despise my work and see no purpose in it, considering commissioning in the military.
Well, you gotta have a goal in mind. You gotta know what it is you want. The work itself, you don't have to be. I'm not smiling. I'm making a mask around a black solid 2. It's aggravating. So the work itself, you don't have to be passionate about the work itself, but you have to have a goal in mind. That's what makes it easier. You know, if you're what is he? He's an attorney?
Yeah.
I mean, just make sure you know what you're being an attorney for. I would imagine you want to have a family and to have some type of, financial security, and to whatever it is that you think is a worthwhile goal, just keep that in mind. I think that's the main part. The actual work itself is, for me, the work that I do, a lot of it is like straight up toil. This sketch we did, we were mostly standing around for 16 hours. It was exciting shooting this weekend, but it was punishing, man.
It's just work.
On the flip side of the enjoy your youth, enjoying your younger years coin, there's people who are really they're not even enjoying their younger years. They're just floating along, man. They're not enjoying shit. But by age 30, they're still so f***ed up that they can't even imagine making $2,300 a week. Most 30-year-olds, most white 30-year-olds, college educated, $2,300 a week. And you're not in New York City or Los Angeles, I'm gonna assume here. If you're making $2,300 a week, that's not in like one of these super expensive places to live, that's like making $5,000 a week in New York City. And there's people in their 30s who can't imagine that level. My vote is take the money with the disclaimer, do not adjust your standard of living to start sopping up and using that money. That's what everybody does. They get that much money, they go lease an Audi, get a nicer apartment, whatever, keep a apartment, eat oatmeal and olive oil, like keep it just whatever cheap but clean diet you can do. Don't buy new clothes, don't splurge money, and start putting that money somewhere. I put mine in Bitcoin, but sock that stuff away. Yeah.
Decided not to go to college, started my own business. Now I'm making $120K a year. Should I continue to live at home and save money, rent, or buy? I don't want to live in Illinois forever. Thank you for all these streams. Much love.
Live at home forever. Live at home as long as you can.
I second that. If living at home is not torture for you, do what Laotians do and save the money.
They tell you it's bad, but you do the opposite of what they say.
Oh, you live at home, you're a loser. You're not cool. You
don't want to pay property taxes?
Oh,
come on.
Come to New York City. You got to come. It's all happening in the city,
You
man.
never paid sewer before? Let's go every corner.
You can give them $80 and then say something different.
Yeah.
You'd be like, here's $80. Think completely different of me. And they're like, oh, all right. Here's $80. Say something the opposite of what you just said about me. And they're like, well, you do have a lot of money in your savings account. Like, there you go. Here's 80. Now f*** off.
Damn, I like that.
Yeah, because I have it now.
Just if you're confronted by somebody that doesn't like what you're doing, just give them money to change their opinion.
yeah, here's $80. Shut up. And I had it in my savings account because I didn't pay rent this month.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I live with my parents tomorrow.
I had an extra $1,200 every month, so I can do this too. 75 people.
Yeah, this is easy. Yeah, I do this 15 and a half times a month. Yeah, I start at 40 if I don't think you got any money.
Is it worth taking a big pay cut in order to be fully remote in my cushy email job?
The remote work thing, dude, you don't want to be sitting at home all day. That's kind of the first step in a slide downhill. If what you're doing is some disposable crap that's not a hustle.
Yeah.
If it's a hustle, then yeah, stay home and be in your pajamas and hustle. But if you're working for somebody else at a job that does not go upwards and there's no like motivation to if you work this much harder, you get this much more money. If that's not factored in there, you know, you're just gonna be sitting at home in your underpants, eating poorly, not moving, not getting your circulation up. I would say nah, just keep.
I did hear this one guy who got this remote job, realized it was, I think it was like IT or tech related, realized it was literally like almost no work.
Yeah.
So what he did is he got like several remote jobs at once and just did them all.
Yeah, that's
collected like 6 salaries.
I like the sound of that. Or if it's the type of thing where you really legitimately only need to be doing something for 15 minutes every hour, and for that other 45 minutes you can be figuring something else out, like whatever it is, then yeah, you could. That's a move you could do. But don't underestimate the torpor. Don't underestimate the dismalness of being at home all day and not having like some type of stimulation to make you take a shower.
Well, I was a maintainer for the subway system. Do nothing, and old bros just spam overtime for $150K annual with a max 401K for changing one light bulb for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Union jobs with the government protections that also belong to state, city for 40 an hour. That's like the type of comment we get often. Replace a couple words with how they work HVAC and this, and they do the little work and they make a ton of money.
Yeah. We know one of our friends has one of those jobs where like they sit in front of like a train control set for like 8 hours a day and literally do nothing, and they make, you know, decent money. Nick was saying today that like the Italian like wannabe mob guys, they're like that he hears around Providence just talking like guys that are dressed well, and they're like older like guineas. They're talking about now the topic du jour of conversation is state jobs. Just like getting a job like at the DOT or whatever, like that's what these guys are talking about now. So there must be something to that. Start looking for a job at the Department of Transportation. The problem with that is though that like I've heard this a lot from people. I've heard this too from a lot of people who aren't even working for government jobs but are working like CVS or something. They'll be like, yeah, my job's awesome. I just do nothing all day.
Yeah.
There's a price you pay for having that awesome job.
Wouldn't you rather do something?
Yeah, you got to in 10 years, is that job where you do nothing, is it going to provide enough money for you to buy a house and like raise kids? Like maybe it is. If it is, fine, forget, whatever. If you watched David Goggins and took what he has to say to heart, you would think that if only you could went out and ran for 30 hours, you would be a business owner. I think there's something specifically about Jocko and David Goggins that's like hyper-focusing on their fitness niche in a way that's really not helpful for you. I like fitness YouTubers in general. I think lifting is great and everybody should lift, but it's just them two specifically. It's like you watch them and you're like, oh man, I should go run for 30 hours and then start a supplement company. And the success of those two, it's not duplicatable. You can't duplicate their success. Regular fitness YouTubers, usually you can, to some degree, duplicate the success that they're selling you, which is, feel better and have a better body and be strong and all that stuff. But there's like an implicit, with Jocko and David, I don't think they don't really say this, but there's an implicit thing that like, I feel like I'm being sold at the idea that you can be like them if you follow their advice, like specifically with them, and you can't, unless you like have a lightning stroke of luck where you get a book deal and you get featured on Joe Rogan. That's how you would duplicate their success, is by having Joe Rogan launch you into the success stratosphere.
I work part-time and I'm studying right now. I'm having a hard time pursuing anything, and my mastery is none. I feel time slipping. What is the best thing to do at 22?
You're young. Just start being present and aggressive with your time. But you're young. You can do whatever you want as long as you're paying attention and like trying to do something. That's the thing. Once you're at like age 18, you don't really need specificity. At age 30, you're done. All doors are closed to you. I know that all the 31-year-old people don't want to hear that. But in between, it's a gradient. 22 is young. You've got mad time. So just every morning when you wake up, just commit yourself to learning something, bettering yourself, being mentally present, all these types of things. But you're good to go. You don't need to worry too much. Really think about the passage of time. Be aware of it. I've been like fighting for time recently because I've been taking on more and more things that I have to do. And I used to, up until a few years ago, I used to wake up at like 2 p.m. Like I was nocturnal and I didn't care about waking. But now I'm like very much wake up at 9, have a regimented thing of vital importance, a notebook with a to-do list. That's vitally important.
I'm 19 trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do with my zoomy life. I'm taking a inside wireman test for a union at the end of January, trying to get those big buck skills.
Look for a mentor figure who is like local or doing something that's interesting to you. Talk to electricians, talk to linemen, talk to people who are like this thing that you're sort of gravitating towards. Be likable. Be likable and be present. That's one that people underestimate. Being likable is really important. Being present, consistent, and like not addicted to drugs or an alcoholic. Like showing up in the morning on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Thursday is also in there. And I think when you're young, if you have no direction when you're young, you just have to be, it's more about what you avoid. It's not so important that you have a defined goal or a definite direction, because that's kind of impossible to have when you're 19. But when you're 19, you do really have to avoid certain things like the gaming, the weed, all the negative stuff. Stay away from that, because a lot of life success. If you ever see an older person and you're like, how did this idiot get into the position that they're in? How did this moron ever get this job that's like a wild, like $200,000 a year job? How'd this happen? This guy's an idiot. It's because when people are present for long periods of time, when you go to the job site, or you go to the whatever the environment is, and the same guy is there every day consistently, and he's not drunk, and he didn't get a DUI, and he's not like aggressive or abusive. He's easy to talk to. He's like smile and like doesn't make anybody feel weird when you talk to him. That guy you can really be on autopilot and not do anything too particular and kind of fail your way up the food chain, which is something that really frustrates autistic people. And I think I saw something like this recently with Hollywood, where it's like they're nepo babies, like nepotism.
Yeah.
And like these actors and actresses are like, we're not nepo babies. Don't call us that.
Yeah.
And like nepotism is like, there's obviously Hollywood sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
But complaining about nepotism, it's like you're complaining about the fact that this person's dad or mom was so cool that everybody wanted to hire their daughter or their son. Like you're complaining about you're complaining about their likability. Like they're getting ahead because they're like in the social hierarchy of this industry. These people didn't piss anybody off enough and were liked enough that they created a slot for their offspring. Like boo-hoo, you know what I mean? But when I was younger and in art school, and I had a chip on my shoulder and I was very tough to deal with, I would always think, oh, I'm such an artist. They need to accept me for my merit and my skill and my high IQ. They need to, and there's no field in life that's anything like that. If you're unlikable, you're fucked. If you make people uncomfortable, or if you are, there's very few slots for people who are mega talented and unlikable or weird. I guess like specialized knowledge. Like if you're the genius god of like protein folding, then I guess you can be a jerk to people. But it's hard. It's really hard to work your way up if you're unlikable.